you have two choices, right? Choice number one is to bury your head in the sand and do nothing. And then whatever will be, will be. And if that's the way an agent, an advisor, a client wants to go, for sure, nothing wrong with that, as long as they're consciously making the choice.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes. Do you have any of those like real life examples of, I've had this experience where it's like us as insurance agents, we're, maybe we're P&C on the front end, right? Then there's life. Annuity is a little bit tougher of a conversation. Some sort of retirement is even a little tougher with getting into some of the retirement products. And then it's like, and then long-term care. So then when the long-term care conversation goes, man, you guys just try to sell everything.
Right.
You're just, yeah. And it's like the end of the line is the long-term care. No pun intended.
Yeah. I like that though. That's pretty good. That's a good pun. And that's true. Right. And we look, there's plenty of ways to solve this need. Right. One of the things we talk to agents who want to, like health, probably the best example are health agents. Those agents who are selling Med Sup, Med Advantage, right? They've got a seasonality to their business. They're working with an older demographic and they're like, look, I'd love to do this. I just don't know how. And our advice to them is, first of all, there's plenty of places to get the education and training. Let's start with that's not an impediment to it, right? There's CLTC. That's a designation where they offer free and paid courses to help learn about how to position long-term care as part of a package. But for people who are P&C agents, by the way, a period of my time, I was the president of the New Jersey companies of Plymouth Rock and spent all of my time with P&C agents talking to them about bridging into wealth strategies and protection products. And what we used to say to them is really simple. Find the transactional products that are most closely aligned to the way you sell business and start there. Even if it's only dipping the toe, even if it's not the greatest and best product for the client, the ultimate product, it's better than what they have, which is nothing, right? Sell them a short-term care product, explain to them in a simple, digestible, when we were talking about storytellers, learn a story that talks about that protection and get comfortable with it. And then say to your client, look, short-term care products, right, cover you for that 1 year or less. What I want to do at our next review is show you the next stage. It's a building block. Tell them the story, not about we sell everything, but we're experts in the field of insurance. And my job is to show you the building blocks to protect you and your family. What you choose to do with that is an entirely different story. I'm not here to sell you things. I'm here to educate you on the challenges you may face, to present modern solutions. The universe is this wide, and I want to narrow that down to good, solid choices based upon what I know and learn about you. And what client would say no to that, right? That's somebody who'd say no to that is likely a client who you're not going to develop a rapport with. You're going to sell them something, but you're probably not going to develop a deep client out of that.
Right. Well, and an agent that's getting more, I think, highly strategic with their outbound and onboarding of their new clients. Like if it's a PNC, we're PNC, right? So we're never going to lead with a long-term care, obviously. And like Jason says, right at the end of the line. But if we're strategic and we have a plan that it's like, okay, in the first month, then they're going to get a follow-up about life. And then in the third month, they're going to get a follow-up. And this all happens, it's just executed. Then eventually you are going to start writing this stuff, right? Like that's just the way it works.
And I will tell you, sorry, go ahead, Craig, sorry.
I just like to unpack one other thing.
Yeah.
Something that we do in our own agencies when we're training new people, because everybody as an excuse in sales is I need to know everything before I pick up that phone. And in my opinion, it's all bullshit. It's called reluctance. You don't need to know the product. You just need to know that the product is a mechanism to solve that problem that person has. It doesn't fucking matter what's in the thing. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drop that. But
I told you
well,
I'm
that
from New
just
Jersey. I'm from New
podcast.
Jersey. We're required before we leave school to have it as a noun, verb, adverb,
Oh, good.
adjective, pronoun. Yeah.
Good.
I mean, we could string about
But
11 of them together and make a
you-
good sentence if we needed to. So no worries on my part.
Well, you can see the passion.
Yeah. Dude,
Right?
and you're
Like it's so important. Go
Craig, you're 100% right. And so this the call reluctance issue is as real as it could be, right? So earlier in my career, I told you I was the president of the New Jersey company for Plymouth Rock, and we had people who were telephone P&C salespeople who'd work for agents, and they were selling auto insurance and homeowners insurance over the phone, right? Now, you guys, anybody who's run or worked in a call center knows the likelihood of picking up a phone and getting somebody on a phone call when you dial it, especially these days, is low single digits, right? And we would see people who'd have to do an entire 20-minute prep. They'd have to look through everything the client owned. They'd have to go through, when is their renewal up? When is this? When is this? Hold on. Let me go chase Joey down to get the answer to, he left a note, I don't understand. Then they'd come back to the desk, get themselves positioned, they dial a phone, and they'd leave a voicemail. And then they'd go through this whole thing. We got to a point.
Then they go to the bathroom.
Yeah, right. And then, look, it's tiring. So now I got to go get a cup of coffee, right? We got to a point, the most success we had was when we made them turn the computer off and printed out pieces of paper that had a name and a phone number. That's it. Because call reluctance is a real thing. And what we teach people these days to do is to ask the same solid, good question. This isn't about matching somebody up in a call with the greatest product. And it doesn't matter if it's P&C or life or an annuity, or Jason, to your point, it's the end of the line on something else. The reality of it is there's so many products out there. We've got to understand somebody's need. And you only get to that need by talking to people, by developing relationships. Imagine, we talk a lot in our industry about the power of the referral, right? And we sort of tip our hat to the power of the referral and say, yeah, you always have to ask for referrals. I will tell you, the best referrals I have ever seen were referrals nobody had to ask for. Why? Because they developed the client in the right way. They maybe spoke to him a few times. They sold a product. They came back, right, Craig? In the way you said, they came back. A couple months later, they said, look, now we've got this in place. I'd love to understand some more of your dynamic. Tell me about your family. And now they're building out not just the rapport, not just an understanding. They're becoming that trusted advisor, that trusted agent. And when you develop that, we know that that's when the referrals start to pour in, right? That Ken Blanchard book, Raving Fan, from 25, 30 years ago, talked about this. And that's exactly what we want to create. And that's the advice. Most people don't want to do it. It's hard work, right? You got to put in the legwork. But when you can get to that, then you get to develop some of these later products, whether it's short-term care, whether you bring an expert in, maybe you bring in and partner with somebody who's got licenses you don't have because you're doing the right thing for your clients. It's when the magic happens, for sure.
Yeah. The deliberate intentionality, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Taking that time.
It's crazy that we're not allowed to use trusted advisor anymore. Like with the SEC. It's crazy. Yeah. It's so interesting.
First Amendment.
What's that?
It's kind of interesting. It's sort of
it isn't
a violation of the First Amendment, isn't it?
Yeah. Those prickly regulators like to tell us what we can and can't do, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of it's even good stuff, but a lot of it is, I agree. It's look, in the space that I work in, right, is aging adults. And you have to be even more careful to not be taken advantage of. And so I appreciate some of the regulation, for sure. Some of it definitely goes too far. There's no question.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, they do definitely, it's unbelievable, especially with AI and how many fakes are coming out. There's so many ways to trick. The old trick was just the phone call. Send me gift cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And older people would do that. They would just say, hey, it's for Mike, your grandson. And they would send stuff out. But
man,
now,
I didn't even think of that, of the AI, like of the bad guys using, well, I mean, I thought of it in the world, but not in the real case scenario, which is actually just using it for scamming. Like they're going to be able to multiply their ability.
Yeah. Here, I'll tell you a quick scam, and it's personal. It happened to my mother.
oh,
My mother is 82. My father is 88, and my father is in the hospital. Okay. It's going to be fine, but he's in the hospital. He normally does everything. So my mother is not only frantic because her husband of, 60 years is in the hospital, but she's frantic because she's 82 also. And she's got all this stuff going on. She gets a call from a guy who says, I'm from your home warranty company.
Oh.
And essentially scams my mother for $5,400 in a home warranty. Okay. And I meet my mother at the hospital to go see my father. And she says to me, hey, just off the cuff, she said, do you know who my home warranty company was? I said, yeah, I told her who it was. She goes, oh, that's not who called me. I said, whoa, what are you talking about? And she says, this guy called me. It was $5,400. So the long and the short of it is we immediately call, cancel the charge, cancel the credit card. I call the guy back. It's a real company using fraudulent, really terrible tactics in creating almost a threat to my mother. Says, if you don't renew it now, it's going to be $7,500 that when you call us back and you're going to need this. Anyway, when I got to this guy and I talked to him and I threatened him and with the way us who have been in the business long enough know exactly what the pressure points are to put on. We're not consumers. We're in the industry and we know what to say. And the guy immediately said, oh, no, that's not what but my point is this. My mother knows not to do, not to talk, not to fall, not to give, any of that. And they are fully with it. But here's somebody fully with it who was taken advantage of in the exact moment of weakness. And it happens every day, hundreds of times a day, right? Thousands of times a day by these unscrupulous guys who, by the way, make it harder for all of the legitimate agents, all of the legitimate people who are trying to help are screwed by these guys every day who are doing these terrible, terrible things. Really bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it sucks because they're using the same tactics regular business owners do, so they get the same results, right? Like that's
of course.
Up.
And you think my mother's ever going to take a call from anyone ever again? Of course not.
Well, that's actually probably good.
Yes, in her case, but imagine if she needed the help and then she wouldn't, right? Like, so there are plenty of people, to your point, that are going to be denied the stuff they need, either because they read a story that said, don't ever talk to anybody who you don't know. And so they don't ever take a phone call or listen, or because they were screwed at some point in the past and learned a really terrible lesson the hard way.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And before we come towards an end, I do want to, it's crazy. And this is kind of a side tangent, but I just want to bring it up is that we're like the only, one of the only cultures that don't take care of the elderly or like put them on a pedestal for the wisdom that they have. It seems like every other culture, the parents come back, live with the kids and like they take care of them. And like, I mean, there's cultures that get handed on or waited on hand and foot, but like, we're the only one that's like sending our parents out to fend for themselves.
It's 100%. So about 3 years ago, I did a tour through China and India, both countries, well over 1 billion people, both going through what I would call a westernization, right? Where the kids who used to live on the farm now want to move to the city because they want an iPhone, they want a life, they want to do all of that. And that's true. And you see that occurring. But what hasn't occurred is they haven't left their parents in the lurch. The filial piety, the idea of going home to take care of them still exists. And those are countries that have well over 1 billion people, right? Socialist countries have figured it out. Only here in the States, you're exactly right, Jason. Not only don't we have it, we don't have a support system underneath. The only option becomes, right, spend down your last dollar and then go into Medicaid. And if you've seen any of the Medicaid facilities, I promise you, nobody wants to be there, right? And that's sort of this sort of sense of urgency that I have. I'm 57. In addition to reminding my 3 kids of their responsibility to take care of me and my wife when it's our time, right? And I dangle their college tuition above their head for a little bit, right?
Nice.
But But part of this awareness campaign that we're on, in some ways, I joke with my coworkers that we're like Don Quixote spinning into windmills, right? Because we're trying to tell a story to people who don't want to listen because they don't want to face the music. And we know what's coming. And in this country, there isn't a government solution that's a solution that anybody wants. And by the way, in 30 years of speaking about this, or 29 years of speaking about this and doing hundreds of public seminars around aging, and asking a single question in every one, which is, by a show of hands, who's looking forward to moving into a nursing home, right? Only one time have I had a hand go up. Believe it or not, one person raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm looking to go into a nursing home. And I said, I got to hear the story, because who would look for it? And the reason they wanted to go in is because the spouse was already in. They were disabled. They couldn't care for them. And so the spouse was looking forward to going to the nursing home because she wanted to get with her husband. But every other person, nobody wants to age in a nursing home. Everybody wants to age in place, and that costs money. And we've got to help people get the message out to understand they've got to pay for it on their own. Nobody's riding in on a white horse to save them in this. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I definitely think it's a conversation, especially for the kids. And I think that we as the culture need to change and have this conversation, because, hey, if the kids aren't going to be taking care of the parents, at least come up with a plan. This is going to happen. And what's crazier is with the expectation of older age. And
so there are 40 million unpaid caregivers in the U.S. And those are people who are doing double duty. They're people who hold down a full-time job, and then they go to their loved ones on the weekends. They shop, maybe they pay the bills. They're helping provide care. And some of them are doing it out of love and respect and honor and all of the good reasons. And that's super cool. Others are doing it because their parents, their loved ones didn't prepare. And you would think that for those people who are in my age bracket, who are providing care for their families, they would say, I got to take care of this for myself so that my kids aren't in the same boat that I'm in, having to provide this care. And we do see that in those 40 million caregivers, the vast majority are baby boomers and those who are a little bit younger. And we see more interest in long-term care insurance products with that subset, but not nearly enough. So, Jason, the lesson isn't being learned. They're not saying, wait, I want to break the cycle here. Instead, what they're saying is, oof, man, I wish I had my time back. I love spending time with my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my loved ones. I wish I was doing other stuff. But they're not making the connection between their own long-term care needs when they get more disabled, when they get older, and breaking the cycle for their kids. We haven't done that yet. We haven't created that nexus for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is definitely a subject everybody needs to talk about. I literally had four kids, and I'm busting my butt because I'm hoping that one of them will take care of me when I get older.
Yeah. Boys or girls? Boys or girls?
2 and 2.
All right. So the good news, for what it's worth, I have 3 girls, so I'm super happy. Girls traditionally do a better job at it now. I don't want the guys out there who have sons, to be like, well, my son's going to do it. I'm sure he will. Girls just naturally, and we see that in the caregiving space, in the family caregiving space too. We could do a whole nother show at another point around family caregiving dynamics. But the good news is, for those of us who have daughters, we'll probably have some help. Maybe not all the help, but we'll have some
right.
help.
Well, you can see it in the parents, right? The mom's always super nurturing, and the dad's like, dude, kids come in at night. They still do it. There's a lot of sleepless nights. They'll come in, like, oh, I don't feel good. And mom's like, in her sleeping state, totally nurturing. And I'm like, get out of here.
Look,
I gotta sleep.
I got to get up in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Get back out somewhere. No, I hear you. And it is funny. And hopefully the impetus for you to stay with your wife all the way through is that if they're going to take care of her, maybe they'll throw a little bit of care towards you too.
Right. That's what I'm playing my cards with everybody here.
You got to play the long game on it for sure. That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Well, this has been awesome, Larry. We really appreciate you coming on here. Any final words that you want anyone to know? And then also, how can people reach out to you and learn more?
Yeah. My only parting words around this financing of aging, this dilemma, is you have two choices, right? Choice number one is to bury your head in the sand and do nothing. And then whatever will be, will be. And if that's the way an agent, an advisor, a client wants to go, for sure, nothing wrong with that, as long as they're consciously making the choice. For agents who want to provide just a touch more education for those that say, I mean, I don't even know, I don't want to sell it. I just feel responsible to at least make my clients aware. It's really easy. Go to any of the websites out there, download a little bit of information, go to caregiver.org, go to the AARP. There's so much information out there, and just educate yourself and your clients a little bit. You can go to my company's website. As I said, it's neverstoponeword.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Larry Nisenson, Nisenson. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on the web. Find me wherever you like. It is my passion to talk about this and help educate clients, agents, advisors on this impending tsunami. And guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you inviting me on and spending some time with you guys.
It's been fantastic.
And we appreciate the fact that you came on, even though your throat, you're not feeling good, under the weather, and you went the distance with us. So thank you.
Distance.
We're gamers,
worried.
right? Yeah.
I mean, I was a little concerned you might have to use your long-term care insurance here.
I thought about it. I got my agent on speed dial. I'm about ready to put a claim in, right? That's awesome, guys. Man. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you
so much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.